Welcome to day 7 of the Sensual Reset Challenge. We are officially 1 week in. How are you feeling? Have you noticed remarkable shifts in how you go through your day? I started this challenge because I recognized that I too needed a sensual reset. I'm pretty aware of my senses. That's just the nature of being an intimacy coach and somatic healer. But after a few pretty tough years of managing my CPTSD symptoms and doing the hard work to heal my codependency and recover from narcissistic relationships, I knew I wasn't as sensually open as I could be. So no, I'm right here with you completing these practices and inviting more pleasure into my life. Personally, I've felt shifts in my awareness of pleasure and my overall mental state. Whenever I notice myself getting stuck in a negative perspective or feeling, it feels like a little alert goes off inside. And I remember, I have tools to support me through this. I come back to the 3-part breath or breathe a sensual sigh. I've even noticed that this forms a kind of shield in my nervous system where I feel more equipped to handle the challenges I'm facing. Leaning into pleasure means I'm actually less likely to avoid tough conversations, bad news, or tasks that feel overwhelming. It actually makes me feel supported and more trusting that I can handle it. Are you starting to notice these shifts in your mental power and fortitude? I just find these observations to be incredible. So I'd love to hear in the comments, how are these practices supporting you? I mean, just a few seconds ago, I caught myself idly massaging my feet. Like, I don't think I've really done that before. It's like my body is noticing, yes, this feels good. This helps. I even caught myself scrolling through my phone during breakfast and remembered how good that banana tasted a few days ago when I chose to consciously focus on my taste buds and repeated it with the last few bites of my breakfast. And oh, sweet goddess, did those berries freaking rock. I just didn't realize just how much pleasure I was missing out on in my day, which is just so funny to me since I've kind of made pleasure my whole thing. So yeah, I'd love to hear what shifts you're experiencing in your personal life and how these practices are seeping into your bones and altering the very way you do life. And this is actually what I want to talk about today in day 7, how you can use conscious pleasure to nurture healthy habits and actually help those habits stick faster. So if you're like me, you've got goals and aspirations that don't come about instantly. They require steady practice, drilling, and nurturing. For example, a desire to become an accomplished author means you'll need a regular habit of reading and writing, and being a generally curious and interesting person. A desire to be an amazing parent means showing up daily and cultivating positive experiences and moments of connection with your child. A desire to be a great musician means practicing regularly and honing your craft so that when opportunity arises, you shine. Everything we desire is actually accumulation of habit. Even if you're a believer in manifesting, as I am, you need to develop the habit of positive focus. Knowing how to successfully nurture the habits needed to live the life you desire is paramount. And if you struggled with making your habits stick in the past, conscious pleasure just might be your missing link. In a 2018 exploratory study on the impact of perceived reward on habit formation, published in BMC Psychology, which I'll link in the description of this video, researchers found that pleasure and intrinsic motivation can reinforce habits and have a greater impact on habit formation than just having a strong intention or desire to change. In other words, emphasizing pleasure when building a new habit makes you more likely to succeed. Pleasure increases the strength of your habit, meaning you're more likely to do it. And it makes sense. We're not motivated away from pain, though it may seem that way. We're motivated towards what feels good. And so if you want to hack your nervous system, You have to make your desired habits feel good. How do you do this? For example, how does someone whose biology craves processed food and sugar use pleasure to make healthy eating a new habit when processed food is what tastes good? Or let's say you want to write that book, but your mind's negative thoughts and low self-belief makes you feel horrible every time you write. Or let's say you want to be more present with your child, but you're just too exhausted and overwhelmed, and it feels better to just numb out and put on the TV. Well, let's look at the 4 stages of a habit loop. Contemporary science has identified the 4 stages of a habit loop to be the building blocks of a habit. Stage 1 is the cue. You experience a trigger, something that then prompts stage 2, the craving. The craving causes you to desire a particular outcome that you find rewarding, which leads you to enter stage 3, the response. This is what we colloquially consider the habit. It's the actual behavior, thought, or action that gets you to move towards the desired outcome. And then comes stage 4, the reward. The reward satisfies the craving, and the pleasure or relief you feel reinforces the craving and makes it more likely for you to do the whole thing all over again the next time the cue is triggered. So I'm curious, are you seeing what I'm seeing? From beginning to end, the habit loop is motivated and fueled by pleasure and reward. Pleasure here can mean different things. Something can bring relief, which is a kind of pleasure, even if it doesn't make us happy per se. So I'm not talking about making every habit feel like peak sunshines and rainbows. I'm talking about hacking this natural desire to feel good or feel better and learning how to get your nervous system motivated towards pleasure, whatever form makes sense in the context of your habit. So let's look at the habit loop again. So to start, you experience a cue or trigger, and so you seek out a reward. There are 3 points in the habit loop where conscious pleasure can really shine. The first is in stage 1, the cue. You can cue your habit the typical way, like scheduling it in or setting an alarm. But this is often ineffective. Instead, use pleasure to build a stronger cue. This can take the form of focusing on how good it feels to be a person who... Insert healthy habit here. If you want to meditate more often, think about how good it'll feel to wear that badge. If you want to be a long distance runner, think about how good it feels to say, I'm training for a marathon. And now go deeper into the cue. As James Clear shares in his best-selling book, Atomic Habits, make your habits easy. Make it easier for your cue to take place by putting your running shoes, for example, and your workout outfit in an obvious place the night before, so when you wake up, you'll see it and you'll remember. I'm a baddie. She's a runner. She's a track star. I'm training for a marathon. I am that bee. So let's get these clothes on and let's go. If you want to meditate first thing in the morning, put your phone on the other side of the bedroom. So when you wake up and reach for that phone, you don't find it. You'll wonder, where is it? And then you'll realize it's all the way across the room and think, why on earth did I put it over there? And then you'll remember, right, I'm a daily meditator. She's in her Zen era. Soon you won't even reach for your phone. You'll just go straight into meditation and feel like a rock star. Or should I say a monk star? I crack myself up. Other ways to use pleasure with a cue is to actually identify if the habit is being prompted by a negative feeling that is then leading you to complete a poor behavior, like avoiding a tough conversation, not checking your bank statements, or overeating. If you know a negative emotion is cueing your habit loop, then you also know that you're wanting to feel better. And so you can consciously connect that you'll feel fully better, not when you complete the habit loop, but when you address the source of the issue. In this case, when you catch yourself feeling the negative emotion and feeling the craving for the poor behavior, you can acknowledge, I want to feel better. And so do something that allows you to feel better. Just as we've been doing in this challenge, you can reach for a better feeling by taking a few sensual sighs or completing the 3-part breath. And then from this place of feeling good, now go tackle the source of your stress. So you don't have to white knuckle it and just feel bad and then try to take care of what you need to take care of. It's okay to acknowledge that you need to self-soothe in this moment and you need to support your nervous system with pleasure. So in this scenario, we're honoring your nervous system's desire to be soothed. We're honoring your body's request for better feelings. And we're also honoring your personal commitments and the type of person you want to be in this world. A reliable person of integrity, honesty, and stability. This can work for healthy eating goals as well. If your cue is seeing the colorful packaging of a candy bar or the big bright letters of a fast food chain, notice that at the root of your craving is a desire to feel pleasure. Take a sensual sigh and think about the full experience of eating that food you'd like to limit in your diet. Do you actually feel good when you eat it? Or do you actually feel a mix of emotions? Have you noticed that when you actually slow down and consciously taste this food, which you totally should, it's not the same as when you eat it quickly, like your taste buds are often being manipulated to do through added chemicals. And take a moment to think about it. Do you actually feel good after you eat it? All of this is important information because it can help to change the story around this food. Once you notice that it doesn't actually allow you to feel good in every single way, it feels less like a treat. Because right now, you may actually feel that it feels better than it actually is. Pausing to reflect on this gives you time to ask what actually feels good to eat from beginning to end, even if you don't fully love the taste of it just yet. Could a warm meal you prepared at home be better? Especially if you are a cook and take pride in maybe saving a few extra bucks each week. This can be a wonderful alternative because it's literally inviting you into a process that you love. You may realize that consciously eating a piece of fruit or a vegetable would be more satisfying. And so now every time you see the cue, the fast food option or processed food, your habit will become this thought process. You'll think through the actual full experience of eating this food and then start to consider what may actually feel better to eat. That brings us to the next two stages of the habit loop where pleasure comes into play in obvious and apparent ways. That's the actual behavior and the reward. Just as a 2018 study found, if you can make your habit intrinsically pleasurable, meaning rewarding in and of itself, you've basically won the habit lottery. You're not going to need much motivation because it just feels so good to complete that task. You'll do it frequently and earnestly. And this is where conscious pleasure really shines. Just as we did yesterday in our taste exploration, you want to start noticing what it is about your desired habit that feels good. Look for seemingly unrelated side effects as well. For example, if you want to become a runner, you're likely not going to make the actual act of running feel good initially. I mean, there's a reason why you don't do it every day to begin with. Instead, reach for other pleasures in the moment. If you run outside, notice how good it feels to look up at the sky or the trees, or maybe make a game out of spotting a new flower or animal each run. If you run on the treadmill, listen to your favorite podcast or an interesting audiobook each run, and notice how fun it is to have this time to enjoy some entertainment. These pleasure markers make you more likely to crave the habit of running because you associate these pleasurable feelings with running. And as you become a better runner, you can then focus on what feels good about running itself, like feeling your cardio improve or feeling the strength of your muscles. It actually becomes something you do because it feels good. And that's the best place to be in with any habit. If it feels good, you're sure to do it again and again. And climbing your way to your goal will just feel like a natural byproduct of you having a really good time. And how cool is that? I mean, isn't that the best way to live? So that's called intrinsic motivation. And if you joined me for day 6, you already have some practice in it. You just want to consciously bring your awareness to the habit as you're doing it, and then pay attention to what feels good and pleasurable about it. Again, it doesn't have to be the actual behavior. It may be something adjacent or related to the behavior that you can notice each time. Once you've found whatever it is that brings you pleasure that's associated with that habit, intentionally notice that part of the healthy behavior again and again, every time you do it. And soon, that feel-good part of the behavior will be what motivates you to make this healthy behavior a new habit. Finally, you can use pleasure to max out on your body's natural dopamine release by paying attention to how good you feel after completing your healthy habit. This can look like feeling the growing health of your body after a workout, or feeling pride about showing up for your writing session, regardless of whether or not you wrote anything extraordinary today. It's all about finding something post-habit to add to the reward of completion. If your brain notices, hey, I feel good every time I complete this task, it's more likely to create a craving for this new habit because it makes you feel good. The body knows what the mind usually has to relearn. Pleasure is our birthright. We're here to feel good. Now, think about 3 healthy habits you'd like to nurture and fortify this month. In the Substack post for day 7 of the challenge, I've included a little journal exercise to help you use all this knowledge to workshop your habit loop so that it's powered by pleasure. If you want more support, please reach out for private coaching. I help people cultivate a more orgasmic life through conscious pleasure and a deeper self practice. So email me at unique@uniquebelle.com to learn more. Come find me at uniquebelle on Substack to complete today's journal exercise. And remember to officially register for the challenge at uniquebelle.com/sensual reset. I've got some giveaways coming your way in the next week. I'm Unique Belle, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 8, where we will be continuing our exploration of the senses. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss that video.